Hi, my name is Lizzie and I'm going to be talking to you about 5 different science activities that you can do with your students. The first activity we're going to be talking about today is oobleck. Oobleck is a great way for students to explore states of matter. So first, the materials you're going to need are plastic baggies, cornstarch, water, and a spoon. So to make the oobleck, you're going to want to open up your baggie, pour a little bit of water into it, get your cornstarch and your spoon, take a spoonful of cornstarch. You want like a little bit more cornstarch than water. You're going to shake it up, really get it mixed. So right now my consistency is pretty watery, which is okay because you can always add cornstarch or water to make it the right consistency. I'm just adding more, shaking it up, and now we're talking. Ooh. Okay, so the more you mess with it, the more it'll start to react and get thicker at the touch. And once it's like really solid in your hand and then you let it go and it's liquidy, that's when you know that you've got the right consistency. Once you've made your oobleck at the right consistency, one thing to make it really exciting for the students is to add different food colorings. So in Dr. Seuss's Bartholomew and Oobleck book, he uses, I think it's green, so you can make it green and read the story with them and relate it that way. This is a great way to teach kids the difference between solids and liquids. You can talk about what it looks like, what it acts like. They can make predictions on what they think what'll happen when they start to mess with it. So you want to really just emphasize the fact that when a force is acted upon it, it'll get really hard, and then when you let it go, it'll get more liquidy. One piece of advice for making oobleck is you want to make it beforehand so that the students aren't distracted by you making it, and things can kind of get messy, so this way you can make sure everything's cleaned up and they're ready to go. The next activity I'll be discussing is the magnet activity. So this activity is really great for students who are exploring which items are magnetic and not, and it allows them to use their prediction skills to see what will happen and then find out later what will. So some of the materials you're going to be needing are a magnet, one for each kid probably, or however many you can get. It can be like relatively strong, it doesn't have to be super strong. You're going to need some scissors, a spoon, pencil, paper clips, a coin, and then you want to mix in objects that are magnetic and non-magnetic. That way they can have a big variety. So some other things could be like a ruler, a pin, a clothespin, a key, just like all different things, whatever kind of materials you can find around. So what you're going to do is present all the objects, and then you're going to give them this handout, and it's going to have the list of objects on the side, and then a smiley face if it's a magnetic, and a frowny face if it's not. And so for the prediction part, you're going to want them to fill this out and write, like circle whichever one they think will happen, and then they can write on the side what actually happened once they've figured it out. So once your students have finished filling out this worksheet, you can have them go out and explore all the different items. You can set them up as stations or have them all at one table, just depending on what you prefer. And then once they've filled out what actually happens, you can come back and do like a group discussion on what they found and why they think things happened the way that they did. This next activity I'll be discussing is plants, and this is a great one for when it's really nice outside and your kids are just having that urge to get outside and release some energy and explore a little. So this activity is basically like a scavenger hunt, and they're going to go outside and explore the different plant life around the center and see how some plants are different than others or what you can find in nature. So the materials you're going to need are this worksheet, and just every kid should have a pencil. Maybe a clipboard, So basically the worksheet, it looks like this, and it's got all the different things you might find outside, so trees, grass, flower, leaves, weeds, bush, seeds, and mushrooms. You can adjust this list to what you think you'll find outside. It just depends on what you prefer. So you're going to give each student a worksheet and tell them that these are things they're going to want to be looking for. You're going to take them outside and allow them to look, explore, find the items on their list. Once they find the items, they can check them off, maybe write a little something about what they found. And then once everybody's completed the worksheet, you can go back inside where you can have them talk about the different things that they found and discuss the similarities and differences between their own and other students, or just differences of nature and what they found in nature. So something really cool you could do with this, you could bring like tape outside with you, and they could maybe tape a couple blades of grass or a flower on there if they wanted to kind of bring that back inside with them, if that's all right. This is a great way for kids to kind of explore the different characteristics of things in nature, and it would be a great like discussion-based activity. Okay, so the next activity I'll be discussing is the car ramp activity. And while doing this activity, the students will be able to use some simple physics to see how a ramp's steepness affects the speed of a car that will go down it. So this can be a good idea for them to kind of use their past experience and apply it to this lesson, so that way they can say, oh, well, I've seen this roller coaster do this, or this ramp make this car go fast. So they'll be able to discuss that a little bit. So materials you're going to need are cardboard strips of equal length. And these cardboard strips, you're going to want them to be around 2 feet, or the length of like the table to the floor, because that way you'll be able to get an accurate reading of how fast the car went down. And then you're also going to need toy cars like Hot Wheels cars or something like that. And a stopwatch, that could be optional, but it'll be a great way for you guys to measure out how quickly or slowly that the car went down based on the angle. So basically you're going to want to have students set up 2 or 3 different ramps relatively close to each other, so one person can hold the ramp at the top, and the other can kind of ramp it down to the bottom. So just make sure that you have like the ramps are going kind of the same direction. There's not cars going to be running into each other, but then they could be at different steepness. So one ramp could be super steep, one ramp could be not steep at all. Things like that are ways to get different results from this activity. So before they have their cars go down, you're going to want to ask them to predict which car will go to the bottom first. So you can ask them why they think this one will win, or why they think the other one will win. Once they've predicted, then you will have them all put the car at the top and release it at the same time. That way you can get an accurate reading of which one got to the bottom first. And if you want to, you can have the stopwatch out and see which one got there first, which one got there last, and kind of share the results. So a way to extend this activity, you could do relay races with multiple teams, and they'll have to like go one right after the other. You could go one at a time to see how the speed of each car. Just different things that you think that your kids will enjoy, ways to mix it up, totally fine. This last activity, you will be making ice cream. It sounds a little daunting at first, but no need to worry, it pays off really well. So basically in this activity, students will be making ice cream and being able to eat it. They'll be practicing using measuring and cooking tools, which are great for independent living skills. This activity can be done in partners or individually, whatever you prefer. And this last activity I'll be discussing is the making of ice cream. It sounds a little daunting, but it will pay off and your kids will enjoy it a lot. So the students will make ice cream and be able to eat it. It also lets them to practice using measuring and cooking tools. The activity can be done in partners or individually. And it's really important for the students to get practice in using measuring tools and cooking if they're going to be living independently in the future or need to learn some independent living skills. So the materials you're going to be needing are a gallon Ziploc bag, a quart Ziploc bag 4 cups of ice, 1/4 of a cup of salt, 2 bowls, 2 spoons, a cloth towel or paper towel if that's what you have, a cup of whole milk, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 2 tablespoons of sugar. So you're going to need all of those items for each student that is doing this, which is like why you usually do like pairs or groups of 3 or 4, just to cut down on the materials you need. So the steps to making the ice cream are: you want to pour the milk, vanilla extract, and sugar into the smaller plastic bag. You want to squeeze as much air of it as you can and then seal it really tightly. Then you're going to place the small bag inside the larger bag and pour the ice and salt on top of the small bag in the larger bag. So the ice and salt should not be mixing with the other ingredients. They should be in 2 separate bags. So then you're going to seal the larger bag tightly with the ice and the smaller bag inside of it. Once you've sealed it tightly, you're going to want to pass the bag back and forth. So just start rubbing it with your hands. You can shake it, all these things, and you can, if it's too cold to be touching, which it can get like that because it'll get, the salt and ice mixture will get really cold. So you're going to want to maybe get a paper towel or that towel just to like make your hands not so cold. So you're going to want to do that, flipping it around, tossing it around for about 10 minutes. So if you're in partners, this is a great way for them to do it for 2 minutes, switch to the other person and do it for another 2 minutes. That way no one's getting too cold. So after a while, the ice cream mixture will start to thicken up. It'll start to freeze. So you're going to want to check once you've done it for around 10 minutes, you're going to want to open it up, see kind of how it looks. If it's too runny, you can keep going until it gets to that ice cream consistency. When it thickens and seems ready, you're going to want to open it carefully and make sure that the ice and salt mixture isn't getting in with the ice cream mixture. Once you're done, you're going to want to wash your hands and get the spoon and spoon it right out of the bag or pour it into bowls if you'd like, just depending on your preference. So at the end, you're going to want to, while they're eating, you could do this while they're eating, you could do a discussion about how it worked, so that when you say something like when you pour the salt over the ice, the salt will lower the freezing temperature of the water, so it's able to get a lot colder than the ice. And this is going to let the milk freeze and become solid in making this ice cream, and the flavors of the sugar and the vanilla will make it taste a lot like ice cream. I hope these videos have been helpful and you've learned a lot about how to teach these different science activities. I hope you really enjoy them and your students do as well. Thank you.